Hey guys, this is my leak. This is the podcast. And today I am going to spend just a little bit of time talking about the mystery and what I find to be the magic of life coaching. And so I am thinking back to when I started therapy in 2012. I don't know that I even really knew what it was or what it would do besides maybe make me feel better when I was in this crisis. At least that's what I was hoping for. When I was in my early 20s, I went for a few sessions to get back into college after being kicked out due to my grades. The sessions were very helpful and matter of fact. And that therapist, a white woman, told me to change my major to something that I liked and wanted versus doing something that I thought would appease others. Wow, I can do that, I thought. Yes, you can. She also told me that I didn't have to take being cursed out by my mom over the phone. If she calls and she's screaming and cursing, you just hang up the phone. I was like, hang up the phone? Are you serious? If I hang up the phone on my mom, she will most definitely kill me. Turns out this therapist was also right, because the first time I hung up the phone, I was both terrified and empowered. I don't have to be on the receiving end of anything I don't want to be as an adult from anyone after all. And if you are wondering how things went after the first time I hung up the phone, I think there was some initial shock, and then there was a short break in the relationship. And then there was some changed behavior because she started to learn that there wouldn't be anyone on the other end of the phone if she behaved that way. That was one thing. Or if she went there, she would just hang up before she knew what was coming because she knew I would do it. So I began with a little bit of a detour because I don't know that I knew that there were helpers in the world by way of therapists back then. And if you've listened to my podcast for any amount of time, you know that probably for the last decade plus, I have talked about the magic and the mystery of therapy. And I want to share more of that before I get into the life coaching. And so that was before I started to do work with a therapist in 2012. But even that just short break of being able to work with a professional to guide me through changing my major versus doing something I thought I needed to do to appease others. I know it seems so stated so simply, but I know where I was in my mind struggling to pass classes that I did not care about, didn't want to do, but felt like it was all that I could do in this life.
Tem momento na carreira que precisamos dar passo além. É hora de fazer uma pós-graduação. Só que muitas vezes o custo pesa no bolso, inviabilizando tudo. Com a pós-graduação do Senac, você não tem esse problema. Cursos com até 50% de desconto e muito mais tempo para pagar. TCC opcional, modelo flexível com aulas presenciais e online e alguns cursos com apenas 12 meses de duração. Não tem mais desculpa, hein? Saiba mais em sp.senac.br/pós-graduação.
E você aí ouvindo podcast, já tá pensando nas suas férias inesquecíveis para 2025? Conte com a Nômade. Com a conta internacional Nômade, você explora o mundo do seu jeito, pagando como um local, em mais de 180 países com cartão de débito internacional. Abra sua conta.
Back in 2012, when I had a different kind of crisis, I went from making about $75,000 a year. I really don't remember, but I think that feels right, to more than 10x that. Don't forget taxes because those are serious. But my whole world turned upside down at once. And my friends around me suggested I, quote unquote, talk to someone. And I specifically remember a male friend sitting me down over the phone, if you will, and saying, Myleik, these are real issues you're having, and none of the people that you know can help you with them. Go talk to a professional. And I can look back on that day, what a gift in friendship. And so I did that, and I don't even know what the last decade of my life would have looked like without that professional help. So when I decided to take up life coaching last year, I'd never been to a life coach because I didn't know that I would need or want one. And with all of the coaching online, I didn't see how it might be useful for me. And so it's just like, well, why would you take this training? And I took the training because I was curious. I took the training because I found myself, after I had stopped doing the work that I was doing with Curlbox, I found myself having more time with people. And the more time that I would spend with people, I started to notice a theme of people coming to me with, big problems, small problems, issues, concerns, things to untangle. And I just wondered I wonder if, what is this? Could I get some more support and training? And so when I decided to take this course, which was, I think 40 plus weeks or something like that, I joined hundreds of others in training. And as I scrolled through pages and pages of Zoom participants, and saw no one else, not another single Black woman, my spidey senses went up. What's going on here? Who knows something I clearly don't? And once I began the training, my head exploded. This life coaching, this feels like freedom and gas on your life. One of my clients explained it as this. She said, I see coaching and therapy like a flower bed. The therapy tends to the roots and soil, and the coaching tends to what's growing on top, the flower that's growing. And so I didn't make that up, so I won't take credit for it, but I loved that analogy. And that's why I wanted to share sort of like my experiences with therapy and now my experience with life coaching, because once I took the course, I started working with tons of different life coaches in that course. Every 6 weeks we'd switch out and my mind would just be blown. And so my intention with this episode is to demystify the life coaching, like I hope I've done with some of the therapy over the years, and expose more people to its transformative potential. So let's talk about the stigma. Some common misconceptions might be that this is for people who have money or who are rich, or it's only for people who are lost, or one that I've heard a ton, it's a scam. It costs money. I think sometimes we think anything that costs money has to be a scam in an environment where people share so freely, right? But I think sometimes what we have to remember when we talk about what are people's intentions? What is someone's intention who might be sharing freely online, who's getting paid by some of these platforms, right? So you think that you're getting free content, but this is content that people are sharing because they are getting paid by platforms. And so, yes, life coaching, therapy, these things, they cost money and they're not cheap. And so I could see what someone might say, but there are various levels of life coaching and various levels of coaches who charge with integrity based on their skills and experiences, typically. I find it to be great in the short and long term. So if you have a pressing issue that you want to untangle in an hour, I think it's worth it to work with someone experienced to help you get closer to your answer. Notice I said closer to your answer. Sometimes you may get it. Sometimes you're getting closer because it may not be something that can be worked through in a day. It's also a partnership that you can grow into to gain more clarity in your life. And this clarity, I think clarity provides freedom. And so getting clearer in your life is not going to be a quick fix. And I don't think anything is going to be. If you're thinking you'll have everything solved in a week or in an hour, while maybe you do nothing, I do want to address that because, all of this is active work. So if you are not taking the action, if you're showing up, but you're not taking action, I have to ask, who is the scammer? That's all I'm saying, right? Okay. I want to spend a couple minutes talking about the cultural barriers. I recognized the cultural barrier when I showed up to this 40 plus weeks course and saw not a single other Black woman student. I mean, why would you think this is for you if you can't find anyone that looks like you serving people? It does look like it's for some people, but not all people. And so I recognize the barrier in our community, and I say our as a Black woman, around the community, around not knowing things. I know as a Black woman, I've had to appear exceptionally competent, and that's deeply rooted in historical and systemic dynamics. Many of us have had to navigate systems built on racism and inequality where mistakes or ignorance were not afforded the same grace as others. And so excellence then became a survival strategy. Overachievement has been seen as necessary to counteract this bias, to gain more access to more opportunities, and to avoid harsh judgment. And so I just want to say that no one has to know everything to be valuable or worthy. And so getting coaching is an act of strength and a self-investment. Okay. I know that I have preached excellence, and I now recognize very much in my midlife that that was an act of survival. And so for the rest of my life, I will invest in myself so that I can get where I want to go and be who I want to be. This is not the $1 million coaching you see online. Several years ago, I invited a handful of the young, popular online coaches to my house to explain to me what they were doing because I admittedly didn't love it. I'm like that. If I see something, I don't like it, my first signal is to get curious and learn, because what is my issue with this? It's not theirs. And so over a cheese plate and a bottle of wine, they explained to me that some people are willing to pay a premium price to learn one subject thoroughly and quickly. And that made sense to me. They even said to me, Myleik, people are willing to pay XXX to go to college, and maybe learn some broad ideas, but people don't mind spending money to learn something very quickly. And so what I can tell you is, after having sat with them, life coaching is not that. This is not a learn a subject to make $10,000 kind of deal. Can you make $10,000 with a life coach? Sure, you can. But is that what it promises? No. The way you get to your goals is different, authentic, and not formulaic. It's custom and authentic to you. And so I have often said that working with a life coach produces sustainable change. And when you can sustain change, you can create a solid foundation for growth in just about every area of your life. And this consistency and alignment open the door to achieving financial goals that may have once seemed out of reach, like making 10K in a day, right? So this is not that. What is this really about? I feel like life coaching is about having what you want. It's about living boldly and authentically and having better relationships. It's about discovering who you are in this one wild, precious life. It's about creating more harmony in your life, more joy, more freedom. It's about stepping into the most powerful role you can play in your life. It's about making life happen versus life happening to you. It's guidance. And so when you work with a trained professional, you can get help getting clearer about what you want in your life. There's a lot of listening. And that's something I noticed, even in myself and in others, is that when you're not used to people listening to you, it might feel uncomfortable being in a space with someone who's genuinely listening. I will tell you that I had a really hard time with that a decade ago, when someone would sit and listen to me. I wasn't used to that. And I really didn't even think they cared. I'm like, they're getting paid to do this. And it's like, no, I really, it may shock you a little bit to have somebody listen to you and ask you powerful questions because they're listening to you. And some you've probably never been asked before, right? They approach the life coaches that I know and have been trained with, approach each session with an open mind, free of preconceived plans or agendas. That's why this is not that. Their role is not to impose a path on you, but to help you uncover the plan and the path that's already within you. The magic of this practice, what has just blown my mind and why once I started I couldn't stop, is that the changes that people have made are often permanent, rewiring their mindset versus just tweaking some behaviors. It's a holistic, full body approach. And I often remind clients that it's time for us to reconnect with our bodies. You know, our bodies hold a deep well of wisdom that the mind won't always reveal to us. And so we can access insights and truths that guide us towards greater clarity and alignment in our life by having a professional help us tune into the wisdom of our bodies. If you're wondering, okay, Myleik, I'm all in. What do I do? How do I find someone? Maybe look for people who are credentialed, pursuing credentials, or they specialize in a specific training. I know right now the ICF is accrediting coaches, and so they have a website. You can check that out. You can lean on your intuition when you meet with someone. If you have connected with someone, is this someone who helps you feel safe and seen? You know, you can schedule an intro call, ask about their approach. Do they use evidence-based tools? Are they aligned with your values? And if you're not clear on your values, but what it feels like you want to do or have or be, you know, check testimonials, check the sources of the testimonials, ask for references, you know, and not all coaching is expensive. There are sliding scales out there. There are group programs you can consider. There are coaches who podcast that you can follow online. They have written books. There are many ways to access this work. So I would encourage you to view this as an investment in yourself. What to expect, you know, I'll never forget some of the first time I've done some of this work. It's like, what's going to happen? You know, it's usually some deep questions, getting clearer about your goals, your values in your life, your challenges. You know, as you continue in the work, there's going to be progress tracking, accountability, adjusting strategies as needed. You'll likely experience a mix of breakthroughs and discomfort. What are the outcomes? I usually find confidence, clarity, and a toolkit for navigating life's challenges. Something I've consistently observed with clients who fully commit to doing the work is the incredible ripple effect it creates across their lives. When they show up with intention and openness, the transformations often extend far beyond their initial goals. Relationships become more fulfilling, careers or businesses experience unexpected breakthroughs, and their self-perception often shifts in profound ways. It's not uncommon for clients to circle back with me almost in disbelief, asking, why is everything taking off for me like this? Is this normal? What they often don't realize at first is that this kind of change is what happens when we realign with our core values, when we remove limiting beliefs and step into our truest potential. The work we do often creates this powerful momentum. And that momentum spills over into nearly every aspect of life. So it's going to spark growth. There's going to be some success and opportunities that maybe you never imagined possible. It's always a joy to see their surprise as they realize just how interconnected everything truly is. So life coaching can be powerful. And I know because I'm in the hot seat doing it. I never thought this was something I'd do on a regular basis. But once I started, I couldn't stop. This is the work of my life in this season, you know, and what I've noticed about myself is the theme of my life's work has always been empowerment, which led me to this work. Empowerment for me is about helping others see new possibilities and uncover their potential, whether it was through introducing accessible luxury with Curlbox, guiding coaching clients through these transformative breakthroughs, or fostering connection and growth in communities I've built like Myleik and Mamas, or the retreats that I've hosted. My focus has always been on creating spaces where people feel seen, supported, and inspired to take action. Y'all know me. Y'all know I'm about that action. I love helping people gain clarity about their goals and desires, even in this podcast. And I don't just want to quote unquote be an inspiration. I want to offer practical tools and accountability for you to turn your vision into reality. So whether that's helping someone elevate their everyday experiences, I love the wine podcast, one of my favorites, or show up more fully as your authentic self. My mission is to make success feel attainable and deeply fulfilling for every person that I work with or connect with, whether it be someone in my virtual office or you here on this podcast. Empowerment isn't just a theme. It is the foundation for just about everything that I do. So if you were looking for a sign, this is it for you to explore coaching. You can check out the ICF website like I told you about. You can go to my website, myleak.com. But I just want you to know that you deserve to grow with guidance. The magic of life coaching isn't just for some people. It's for anyone ready to embrace it. So let this be the year that you take the first step, whether you buy a book, listen to another podcast, join a community, actually reach out to someone, connect with a group, whatever it is, you deserve to grow with guidance. If you love this podcast, share it with a friend, rate, like, subscribe, all of the things. Connect with me on myleak.com. Thanks for listening.